Hello and welcome to the Stash Down Diaries. My name is Jen and I'm a knitter. So this is my YouTube channel where I talk all about the things that I have been working on in the last week. And if you have been here before, you're probably saying, a cat must have stolen her chair again. And you would be correct. Little Miss Maisie has my chair again, which is fine. But also, Piper stole my spot on the futon, so I'm kind of sitting on the edge. That's just okay. It forces me to sit upright, and I feel really awkward when I lean back on this thing anyway. So anyway, she's providing a little support to the lower back at least. So yeah, if you are new here, welcome. I know I have some new subscribers since the last time I recorded. I hit 400. It's so wonderful to have you all here. And if you are returning, welcome back. I have a few things to talk about today. One thing I'm going to do a little differently is at the end, I'm going to talk about my knitting plans for 2024. So I'm just going to dive right into it and talk about acquisitions. There are none. So wonderful, lovely, moving on. So in my last video that I did last week, I completely forgot, at least I think I did. I think I forgot a finished object. I don't think I showed it. It was finished on Christmas Eve. And that is my Arna and Carlos Advent stocking. So if you haven't heard me talk about this before, or you're not familiar with Arna and Carlos's Christmas stocking, so there are two very prolific crafters from Norway, or they live in Norway now. I think Carlos is Swedish. They did, I don't know if this was the first year for it. I don't think it was. I think I might have just missed it other years, but 6 rows a day for Advent leading up to December 24th. And it was a mystery knit along, so you didn't know what the pattern was going to turn out to be. So I found this so enjoyable. The pattern was free until after it was completed. So while you're working on it, it was free. And then if you kind of jumped in after December 26th, then it's now a paid for pattern. But I used yarn from Stash. So I had this enjoyable little countdown to Christmas that didn't cost me anything. So I used Briggs & Little Tuffy for the red and the oatmeal color, and Briggs & Little Heritage for, this is called Evergreen. I really love this green. So I think it is fantastic. So I finished it on Christmas Eve and blocked it, and it was drying on the heater at my parents' house. And yeah, I would totally take part in one of these again. Definitely. So I completely forgot to talk about this last week. Watch me go back and look at my previous video and discover that, yes, I did talk about it, but that's okay. If I did, you're hearing about it again. It's worth talking about because I loved this. Anyway, I'm a big fan of all things Nordic. So yeah, it's showing up so well on the camera too. Anyway, so that is that. I also, in the last video, I talked about, it was work in progress fingerless mitts that I was knitting for my niece, and I did end up finishing those and sent them off to her. I will put a picture right here. They are the Dream Fingerless Mitts by Fairy Little. I'll put her real name here. I know it's Marcia, but I can't remember the last name. So anyway, you can find her as Fairy Little on Instagram. I loved the knit. I love the fit of them and everything. I love that the thumb and the fingertips can fold over, or you can fold it up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to knit a pair for myself at some point. Probably not this month, but maybe it could be a Malabrigo March project. I had other yarn in mind, but there's definitely Malabrigo there that I could use too. Anyway, so that is those. Definitely would recommend that pattern. Okay, so whips. I will start with my month of scrappy knitting, which I will talk about more in my section about my yearly plans, because January is going to be the month of scrappy knitting. I talked about it a little bit in previous videos, but anyway, so I did work on my jelly roll, which is a pattern by K.F. Jones. It is a little throw blanket, completely out of scraps. I am using any self-patterning scrap yarn for this one, so all of my opals or anything like that that is like self-patterning. I have my self-striping in a different little throw blanket. And so this month so far, I finished this section right here. So that was one ball of yarn out of my stash, like completely used up. So it is called, and I might mess this up, Rolana Garn Flot Sock Figaro, and the colorway is 1205. So these were socks that I knit, I think last year for my sister-in-law, and now that yarn is all used up. So that is kind of where I'm going with my month of scrappy knitting, is to use up more scrap yarns, but more about that later. So that is the first thing that I worked on since last video. Now, oh, and also it is living in my Stitch Life bags, Beauty and the Beast stained glass bag. I love this bag. It is wonderful. Okay. So another thing that kind of goes with my yearly goals this year, I am doing the year of the garment. So going back to my fall knitting plans, which I guess could have been called fall winter knitting plans, I had a couple more garments in there. So I cast on a Love Note by Tin Can Knits. It is living in this bag. Very fall vibes there. So yeah, this is a fairly popular knitting pattern, as I said, by Tin Can Knits, and it's knitting up fairly quickly. Didn't take me a whole lot of time to do the lace section. I am now at the point where I am going to have to do raglan increases, so I stopped there. Yesterday I was working on this, and the yarn that I'm using is this is Lizzie Ann Soft Sock in the Toasted Marshmallow colorway, and I love that. It is wonderful. And I'm holding it together with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair in the Almond colorway. So yeah, so I am enjoying this knit. I am knitting this so that it's something that I can like wear over dresses. I'm starting to try to like really think about my wardrobe and what I want from it, and like kind of the looks I'm going for, and try to piece things a little bit better together, coordinate a little better. I kind of fell off of that because I have a very masculine job, traditionally male occupation, and so dressing is not something that I have to think about very often. So I want to think about that a bit more, especially where I'm like going out to the Highland Arts Theatre and stuff now, and just like even just going to the mall, or I want to go like eat out a little bit more and like dress for that. So I'm really trying to think about in my knitting how I want to coordinate things and make my knitting a little more functional. Other sweaters I've knit were more for like outdoorsy type stuff. I have a flax that I wear quite a lot when I go in the woods for either work or for search and rescue, or just for a hike or whatever. And yeah, that sweater gets a lot of use. And then yeah, there's my Veronica cardigan, which I'm wearing today, and this is my house cozy up because I don't like to turn the heat up very high because oil is expensive. Yeah, so I have like stuff like this that like is like functionals, but I want to go a little more into the fashion territory, dare I say. So this is a good start, I think. But yeah, love this knit. I don't know if I had anything else to say about that. It's knit on size US 10. I can't remember what that is. Is that 6.5 millimeter? I'm not sure. Don't know. I usually go by the US sizing. I know some of the metric, but yeah, that's just the way my brain works. I'm trying to go both ways with it, but 10, yeah, I can't remember. All right. So that is my love note. I cast that on New Year's Day. I also have, is it here? Where did it go? I will be right back. So what I went to go get was my Christmas Eve cast on, and it's living in my Studio in the Green Lorax bag. And it is a muscle burrow. I sold a Teague, and this is my third muscle burrow that I am knitting. And it is knit out of Timber Yarns. What is their base called? Twin Sock. Timber Yarns Twin Sock. So it comes in 2 balls like this. Well, it comes in the 2 skeins, and then you wind it into 2 balls or cakes. And I absolutely love it. I love it so much. So this is the Silver Bells colorway. And I think I mentioned before that I saw on their Instagram this knit it with their self-striping yarn, and I just fell in love with it and had to get some self-striping for myself for a new muscle burrow. I think these hats are great. I wasn't getting the hype at first until I made one and wore one, and it's just, in the type of winters that we have here, which are very cold and damp and windy, after this is folded in on itself, there's not a whole lot of wind that gets through there. So yeah, I love it. And I am almost done with the first ball. I think I'm knitting it until about 20 inches or so. I have to check and see how much I knit on my last one, because I do want the brim to fold up for extra ear warmth. But yeah, this is a great hat, great gift knit too. Cannot say enough great things about it. Plus it's nice and mindless, so I will probably bring it to the theater with me on Thursday for knitting before the show and at intermission, because that's what I do. Makes the time go by a little bit faster. Okay, so that is that one. And then I have a new cast on this week. You might recognize the yarn. Let's see. Does this look familiar to you? Because it is a recent yarn. I knitted my niece's mermaids out of this yarn. It is Smash Knits. In their straight up sock base, it is a Canadian indie dyer from I think Saskatchewan. It says Prairies on their label. Do I have their label here? I think it's still down. Yeah, it's still down on my end table. So I don't know, does this count as a month of scrappy knitting because I'm using partial skeins? I mean, they're not down to scrap level, but they were previously used. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I was really happy that the mermaids didn't actually use up that much yarn, so I could use this for socks because I absolutely adore this color. So these ones are going to be mine. These are the Seedpod Socks by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and it was part of her sock society. And yeah, I want to get into knitting some of the ones that I haven't knit yet, because I have like years worth of her patterns, and I think these are just from the last year. So I'm knitting these for myself, and like the leg is done knitting them. So you knit them on 2.25 or US 1, and then you switch to 2.5 or US 1.5 for the lace section, and then you go back down to 2.25 millimeter. So yeah, and then I'm doing the heel in this color. Oh, just lost it. doing the heel and toe in this color as well. And then the plan is to cast on Helen Stewart's Altitude socks, which were also from her Sock Society, and those ones are going to be for a gift, and I am going to reverse. This will be the main color. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know if you heard her. And this will be the contrast color, so I will flip those. They're for a person who also has size 7 feet, so I should have enough yarn for that. And the colorways for these are, this one is 36, and this one is Amarantine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I googled it, and it is a color, which is this color. Anyway, and it is living in my So Sandy So unicorn bag that I absolutely adore. Okay, now that I've discussed what I'm working on, I will discuss my plans for 2024 and what I plan to work on. So I used to do like the whole make 9 thing. I stopped doing that because I never did it all the way through. I never stuck to it, because generally what happens in a year, I knit, like I'm a product knitter, but I'm also very much a process knitter. So things come up in the year that I want to work on, and things that looked shiny in January don't look so shiny in July, and you know, that kind of thing. So my overarching theme of this year is the year of the garment. So I'm going to try to work through my sweater quantities, and also look at stuff that might not be a sweater quantity the way I see a sweater quantity right now, like it's all like the same yarn. I might have some fingering weights that'll go well together and create a garment. And because of people like Knit It by Whitney and Selma Knits and Amanda, Birch and Lily, I'm starting to rethink, as I said before, like how I knit my garments, because I've been seeing a lot of really cute blouses and short sleeve tops on those channels that are just absolutely lovely, especially the everything I made in 2023 videos that I've been seeing. People have been knitting a ton of garments, and they're so beautiful. And I want to think out of the box as far as tops go, because I always think sweater. So there's a poncho that I want to knit by The Meaningful Stitch. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. It's right here. I can't believe I'm blanking on her name, because I love her videos, and I knit her gala scarf, and I love that too. So it'll probably come to me later, but it's, yeah, you've already seen it down below. So anyway, t-shirts, blouses, ponchos, everything, and looking at what I would wear with those things that exist in my wardrobe, or if there are some plain pieces that I can like pick up and would go with those things as well. So year of the garment. And then each month we'll have like a little mini theme depending on my mood, or annual knit-alongs and things like that. So, you know, I spoke in previous videos about really wanting to work on my scraps again, because I was knitting all of these Christmas gifts, and I just wanted like that mindless, lovely, using up balls of yarn completely and knocking them off of my Ravelry page type of deal. And so I declared that January is the month of scrappy knitting, and that is what it is. And that doesn't mean that I'm only knitting scrappy things, because I do not limit myself in my knitting. I just want to knit when I'm in the mood to knit, basically. Otherwise, it's not going to be all that enjoyable. So, yeah, that is what I want to do this month. And then kind of the natural order of things that happens is that Malabrigo March of course, will be coming up in March. That is a big knit along that happens in the Malabrigo Junkies group on Ravelry. So if you don't know, you can, and you use Ravelry, you can pop over to the Malabrigo Junkies and you can look at past like Malabrigo March posts and stuff. They have like little contests and everything. Like you can enter for prizes. Yeah, so it's like super fun. And if you're a big fan of Malabrigo and you have Malabrigo in your stash, then that's a great time to use it. I already have some idea of what I'm going to do, but I have to go into my Malabrigo stash and see what else is there. So anyway, that is Malabrigo March. So that is the theme for that month. And of course, I'm not only going to be knitting on Malabrigo that month, I'm still going to be working on like garments all year. I will have garments on the needles. So then the natural thing that happens before Malabrigo March is that you want to clear your needles. Like a lot of participants in that knit along, that month-long knit along, like to use February to clear their needles. So in February, it's going to be a finisher frog. So I'm going to go through all of my whips and decide whether or not they're going to stay on the I'm going to finish them in February or if I'm going to frog them. So there's a big basket, like it's right there, over there. And it has a bunch of works in progress in it. And actually I think there's some over there too. So I am going to go in February and read through those. I will do a video on that. I will do video on Malabrigo March plans, and I'm going to do a video on my month of scrappy knitting and what goals I set. So that one will be recorded probably sometime this week. It's difficult with the lighting situation because when I get home from work, it's dark. So I'm just going to have to deal with that. And we'll do what we can over here. Like, it's already getting dark now. It's not even 4 o'clock. And that's the winter for you. Oh, Maisie is off my chair. Maybe I should just slide over there and restart this video. No. Okay, so what else? So I covered, yeah, so there will probably be themes for other months. So I might do a month of chunky yarn knitting because I have a little bit of that up there that I kind of want to get to, and we'll see what kind of mood I'm in for that. I'll probably have a couple of months that are socks. So like Socktober is going to happen. And then there's Christmas in July. So that might be a sock knitting month. And there's summer sock camp. Maybe the whole summer will just be socks and whatever garment I'm working on at the time. And also the saltwater stash down continues. I am on round 2. If you don't know what my saltwater stash down is, I am knitting through the saltwater mittens books. So there's saltwater mittens, saltwater classics, saltwater gifts, and saltwater socks. I've knit the first pattern in each of those books. Now I'm on to the second pattern in each of those books. If it's a pattern that I don't want to knit, so namely gloves or anything with bobbles, I can skip it and move on to the next. But I've already looked at the second pattern in each of the books, and I've actually knit one as a Christmas gift so far, but I'm gonna knit another one because I want to. So I will talk about that more in my video next week. I will bring out the books and show you, because I believe I'm probably going to cast on something this week as well for that. So saltwater stash down, I'm going to work through my Briggs and Little yarn and knit things to sell. And I think as far as skills, the only thing I have written here for that is do something brioche. And that might actually happen in Malabrigo March, because I have yarn there that could be used as like a brioche hat, brioche headband, something like that. I have not knit brioche since I knit my Stephen West shawl that had the section of brioche in it. And the vest that I'm knitting for my mother is brioche, but I want to knit something small first to get back into the swing of it before I tackle a garment. So, because I remember, if I mess up a stitch in brioche, then it's really hard to come back from. So I really want to dig into that and look at all the YouTube videos and everything for all the tips and tricks and just do a really good job of it. So that is my kind of year plans. Plans do change. Like I said, I like to not have like rules with my knitting or anything like that because it's a hobby that I enjoy and I want to continue enjoying it. So anyway, so this evening I am going to pick my jigsaw puzzle blanket by Stephen West back up, and I'm going to see if I can use up a ball of yarn on it. That one's a little different because I'm not knitting like until the yarn is completely used up. The different sections have a fixed size, so we shall see. And I will probably do a few sections on it that are like double scrappy, like because it's all geometric shapes attached to each other, and some of them will be knit until the yarn is used up and then just switch to a different yarn. So anyway, that is everything for this week. It was a bit, I think. So I will see you in a next video, which will either be, I'm going to do a year in review. I'm going to do month of scrappy knitting, which will have pattern recommendations. And then of course next weekend is another regular video. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Have a great week. Keep on knitting and Happy New Year. Bye.